This tutorial is to teach you how to make a letter basket in Tinkercad Codeblocks. So the first thing we're going to want to do is come to the upper right hand corner and click on the Create button and then choose Code Blocks. This will open up the Tinkercad Codeblocks programming environment. Okay, from there, the very first thing we should get in the habit of is always naming our uh, designs something that is useful. So, and descriptive. So let's click on the pencil tool here. And what I'd like you to do is put your name in and then the word letter basket. My first name is Adam, so mine is Adam letter basket. And let's hit enter from there. Okay, now the idea is we're going to have Tinkercad code blocks weave a basket for us using not regular shapes, but we're going to use a letter of the alphabet as a shape. So the first thing we're going to do is pull in a text block from over here. That's in the Shapes menu. And what you will see here is that you can open up settings by clicking on this sideways V. So we're going to click on that. And we need to make a couple of changes. First, we need to make the height of that not 10, but 2. So next to the H, let's put a 2 in. And then for what text it is, instead of the word text, we're going to choose one letter of the alphabet. I'm going to choose A for Adam right now. Now, what's nice is we can easily change that later and do some experiments to see what looks best. So let's see what that looks like right now. We'll do that by pressing the play button right here. And we can see that there is our letter. Now, one other option we have is to check out the different fonts. So if we open up the font menu here, we see that that's a multi-language font. If I do a sans font, I do that. Let's look at sans mono and click on play, and then on serif and click on play. I think I like the serif font best, so I'm going to leave that there. All right, so the next thing we need to do is make a couple of variables. So we're going to go to the variables menu here on the left, and that's the light blue one, and click on that. And we want to click on create a number variable. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to call the first one rotation. Rotation. Okay. So we're going to click OK there. And we're going to create a second number variable and call it steepness. Steepness. And click OK. So you should be able to see both of those in here. Now, we want to drag out two blocks, two of these set blocks. The first one should say set rotation to 0. And the second one, let's say set the steepness to, and let's make that one 15 to start with. Okay, so we've got those two, and we've got our variables set. So now we need to set up our instructions on how to weave the basket. So now we're going to come over to this orange control category. So we'll open that up and grab a repeat one time block and put that as our third block there. So next, we are going to put our letter inside that repeat block. Okay, so far, so good. Now, to be able to do this, we need to be able to rotate our letters around a center point. And as you might be able to see here, the letter itself is already centered around that point, and we need to move it back. So we know the x-axis is left to right, the y-axis is front to back, and the z-axis is up and down. So we need to move that A back, okay? So we are going to then go to the modify section here and grab a move block. That's the second one, and put that in there. We want to put that inside our repeat after the block, the text block. And let's try moving it up 5 spaces in the Y direction. So let's try that. Y5 and click play. And we'll see that wasn't quite enough. Let's change Y to 10. And yeah, that seems to move it back all the way to have the bottom of the letter where we want it. So Y equals 10, moving that 10 spaces in the Y direction got us what we needed to. Now we need to kind of lean the letter up so we can be part of a basket. Right now it is kind of flat. So we need to rotate it around this axis, the left to right axis. That's going to be our x-axis. So the next thing we're going to grab is a rotate around block. So let's put that as our third block in the repeat loop. And we want it to say repeat or rotate around the axis x by, and then what we want in this circle, instead of the number 90, we want it to be whatever steepness we have up here. So we're going to go back into the blue variables category here and grab a steepness block and stick that after the word by instead of the number 90. So rotate around the axis x by steepness. Right now it's 15, but we're going to play around with that later. Okay, let's press play and see what happens. And let's see. Yeah, that looks like it is leaning back a good amount. Very nice. Okay, so we've got that there. So now we get to the real magic. We want to make more A's, but we want it to go a different amount around a center pole. So you see that blue line up and down? That's the z-axis. So we also want it to rotate around that z-axis, actually in the center pole. So we're going to go back to modify and grab another rotate around block. Now, the second one is not going to rotate around axis X. We want it to rotate around axis Z. Okay. How much by? Well, we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to drag a variable in, but this time we're going to drag in the variable rotation. So we're going to go to the light blue variables category, get a round rotation block, and put it after the word by. Okay, so we're almost done, but if we left it here, it would rotate around the middle of the Y. We don't want it to rotate around the middle of the Y. We want it to rotate around the origin, 0, 0, 0. So we want a pivot point. So we're going to go into the green math section and get ourselves one of these first blocks, x0, y0, z0. So we're going to have it pivot around x0, y0, z0. Okay? So far, so good. Now, we want this to do it a bunch of different times. So the next time it does it, we want it to spin maybe 45 degrees around. So we need to go into the variables category and have it change the rotation for the next time by 45 degrees. Okay. So it'll draw the first one, and then it'll draw the second one rotated 45 degrees. Now, I have no idea how many times I need to draw an A to be able to get it all the way around the circle. I'm going to guess at first here and say repeat 5 times. Okay? And I want to see how that works. So there's going to be a lot going on. I recommend increasing the speed of your preview all the way up. And let's press the play button and watch what happens. Okay, ooh, that looks pretty good. It looks like it's about halfway around the circle. I'm guessing that twice as many. Let's have it repeat 10 times. That'll go all the way around the circle. Let's take a look. Ooh, so that's a pretty cool basket. There's a few things here, though, that aren't quite right. First of all, this is not leaning high enough up. Right now, our steepness is 15 degrees. Let's change the steepness here to 30 degrees and press start and see. And now this is looking a little more like a basket, that it is a little higher up, a little steeper. That's better, but there's a lot of open space in between the letters. So I think we should not have it rotate a full 45 degrees. We should change the rotation this time by 30 degrees. By 30 degrees. So let's try that this time. And that worked, but it wasn't enough times to get all the way around the circle. Although that is looking cool. So we're going to this time change repeat to 12 times. And yeah, that's a pretty cool basket made out of A's. So now we can do a little experimenting. I don't know if A is the coolest letter to use. So instead of an A, I can try maybe the letter S. So I'm going to go into the text block and change the setting to an S and try an S. And ooh, that's a really cool one. I like that one even better. I want to try maybe a G. That one's really cool too. So I encourage you to try out a few different letters there and play around with the steepness here and the font and even the amount of the rotation about how tight it's going to be. Okay? I think I liked the S the best. Whoop. Let me change this back to an S. Capital S here. Good. And I'm going to finish that. And that's looking pretty good here. So if I zoom in, the only problem here is that there is a hole at the bottom of mine. So I need to plug up that hole. So after I repeat it that many times, I need to bring in a cylinder. Okay? That'll plug up the hole there. So I want to make it the same color as mine. You could change the color of your basket as well. And let's make it a height of maybe something really small, like a height of maybe 5. And radius 10 seems kind of big. Let's see a radius 5 and see what that does. Please make sure that the cylinder is not in your repeat loop. It's on the outside of it. So let's try that. Let's go around. And whoa, that is way, way too big, okay, of a radius there. So, and it's also way too tall. So let's make the radius maybe 1 and a height of 1. Now you're going to need to play around with this until it plugs the hole up. So that looks pretty good. That looks like a good sized hole. The only problem is we need to move it down. That's along the Z axis in the down direction. So the last thing we need to do is modify it by moving that. I'm going to grab a move block. And to get it to move down, that's going to have to be a negative number. So I'm going to try maybe -5 and see if that'll have it go down far enough. Ooh, and I got lucky. Looks like that is a perfect plug. So once you have your hole plugged up with a good size plug there and you've moved it down to the bottom, what you will want to do is go to share and then click on screenshot right here. You're going to want to maybe tilt this so I can easily see things. Zoom in so it's pretty good, and then take a screenshot and then add that to your project there and turn it in. All right. Make sure you get that screenshot added to your Google Classroom assignment. Hope that helps.